Turn that off. So with that said, here we are with the... Oh man, I need to go a little to the left. You know, the things you have to do. Okay, so with that said, this week I've opened up the blog post in which we talk about all of the things available this year with this release. And I thought what I'd basically just do is go through and kind of show all of these things off. So the first thing is DirectX 11 upgrade for Windows, and I'm running in a Windows computer, so that's pretty easy to show off. You just go over to system info, and I mean it's not super interesting. Direct 3D version, DirectX 11.1. If we've done our job right, and our developer who's working on this, Affigen, is pretty bright guy. If we've done our work right, then this upgrade should be essentially something that you don't see as a user. There should be no real change between DirectX 11, what we use now, and DirectX 9, which is what we've been using for the past, I don't know, 6 years. Ever since we switched over to DirectX, frankly. So as long as that's the case, then I think we're good. Yeah, so it should feel exactly the same. There are maybe some potential upgrades. I've heard that now Windows is able to switch your TV to 3D mode. I don't have a Windows PC connected to a TV though, so I can't test that, and I don't know if it actually works. And it might only work with NVIDIA cards. So if any of you out there are running Windows 10 or 8 or whatever, and Kodi 16, the beta 1 version, if you could let us know, in the comments, or at some point I'm going to get a PC that does this, then it would be really great, because it would be pretty cool to know that we have another device besides Raspberry Pi that can switch the TV itself to 3D mode. I don't know. Aside from that, there's not much difference. It's Kodi, and Cody's pretty much always the same. So let's get out of that and look at the next thing on the list. 4x3 nonlinear stretching. This is something that's been a popular way of stretching for a long time, and I'm frankly not sure why we never enabled it before this. Maybe we just didn't realize it was something people wanted. But to set this up, so you start at the home screen, and then you go to System, Video, Playback. Let's see, and here's the setting that you can change. Display 4.3 videos as, and I'm gonna make this big so it's easier to see. So display. Oops. There we go. So back to, I lost it. Okay, display 4.3 videos as, enter that, and then you have a bunch of different options. In the past, the options have either been normal, stretch 16:9, or the various zoom options. And all of those options sort of work, but they distort the image and make it not very pretty. Stretch 16:9 distorts the image, but in a way that's designed to make it look as if there's not much distortion going on. So, no, that's not going to work, because all the recently addeds are all regular size. So now we need to find a show that's sort of old in the 4x3 format. I used DuckTales in the past. I may as well use it again. And I'm going to turn the volume down because I don't want to get flagged. Okay, so we start up a video, and it's already stretched pretty much perfectly. And it looks pretty great, frankly. Oops, that's audio settings. In the video settings, you can't really see. See, there's a regular 16 stretch. Here's wide zoom. Here's stretch 4x3, and here's normal, which is what we've set it at. And it looks pretty good. I mean, it's very hard to tell that anything's been stretched. Of course, this is a cartoon, so it was probably kind of hard to tell if anything was stretched in the first place, but, whatever. It works pretty well. maybe I don't think I have any older shows that would show this off. Futurama is also a cartoon. Um, Maybe next week or sometime in the near future, I'll try to get like an old episode of Friends or something to show what stretching looks like there, just to compare. But so that's 4x3 stretching, and it's a pretty simple thing to set up, as you saw. Next on the list is event logging, and I showed this off in the past, and it was hard to get to, which is unfortunate because event logging is something that should not be difficult to get to. So on the home page, once again, we go to System, and here it is on the home page, just as a new tab called Events. So you select that, and it shows all of the things that have happened recently that failed. And that's one of the most important things. The point of event logging is to show you things that you might want to know about. And so it looks like this has failed to scan a bunch of different things. Like, here's a Star Wars trailer that for some reason I have that failed to scan because the name's probably a little weird. Here's Big Buck Bunny named poorly and so it was failed to scan. That kind of thing. This is very useful for those people who have a library that they just plugged in, and they don't know which things scanned and which things didn't. This is great for that. You know, you can just go back through and actually see exactly what things didn't work. Go to the file, figure out what's wrong with it, and there's easy ways to figure out what's wrong with it. So you go to video files, movies, let's say, and let's pretend this didn't scan. These are all folders because that's how I have mine arranged. I put it in a folder, and here's the file. If you want to set it up so that it scans better, all you have to do is hit the I button on your keyboard, which means info, and if the info isn't already there, it'll force a scan just on this file, and you'll be able to name it exactly the correct name for the file, which will, you know, will make it much easier for Cody to actually do the scan and get it into your library correctly. Yeah, so there you go. So that is event logging. Super duper handy and something that we really should have had a long time ago. And I think this is beta 1 version. I think as we go along, this is going to be just, you know, improved and improved until it's one of the most useful things inside of Cody, in my opinion. You know, that's not actually video playback. So next, split up skin settings. This is harder to show off. And I think I won't, frankly, because it means I'd have to uninstall and reinstall and do all kinds of things. It basically just means that we've set up skin settings so they stay in the skin rather than in Cody. And this allows you to uninstall Cody and reinstall it, and you don't lose your skin settings. It's neat, but it's not super critical. Image resource add-ons. This is really cool. I don't know how many of you have been paying attention, but there's been recent work done to make it so that skins can change the background to a GIF, which is, it's heavy on the CPU and it's maybe not the best way to do an animated background, but it allows for animated backgrounds, which is super cool, except a set of animated backgrounds for, let's say, weather would be a huge amount of data to have to download every time you update a skin. So instead, what we've done is, and this was actually for other things, but animated backgrounds is an obvious example where it'd be handy. What we've done is we've created a separate type of add-on called image resource add-on that all different skins can share. So that if, for example, you're using, I don't know, should I switch to a different skin? I don't know. Well, if you're using Confluence and you have a background that you're interested in, but then you want to switch to transparency, there's no reason why these two skins can't share the same set of background images in some given case. Oh, and we have our first comment. RD1979, hello, buddy. How we doing? All right. Flipping back over. So image resource add-ons is something that's going to be really handy, more for developers than for any user, but it will be nice for users too, especially if you have limited bandwidth. All right, next, long press, and this is really cool. especially if you have an NVIDIA Shield or a Nexus player or anything where there are hardly any buttons on the remote at all. Let me flip over to the video. Okay, so as you can see with this controller, there aren't a lot of buttons. there's the voice talking to the computer button. There's a back button, a home button, and the home button doesn't help with Kodi at all. It takes you out of Kodi entirely. Then there's the OK center button and a circle around it that does up, down, left, right. And that's it, which is a big problem if you're running Kodi, because Kodi depends to some extent quite a lot on other buttons. Most importantly, on the context menu button. We've done a lot. Oops, I went a little too far. We've done a lot to get ourselves away from the context menu button. For example, if you go to movies, in the past, you needed to open the context menu just to update the library. These days, I don't think you can even update the library. Yeah, you can't. In order to update the library, you have to hit left and hit update library. The context menu button does let you do a lot of cool things, though. For example, you can visit movie information here with very few buttons. You can manage things, edit titles, link a movie to a TV show, whatever. It's a lot of cool things you can do with a context menu button, but if you don't have a context menu button, then you're kind of screwed. So what we've done is we've implemented long presses. So if instead of hitting the C button on my keyboard, I hit the Enter button and hold it down, here's what happens. Ah, the context menu appears. That's right. With long presses, we can do all kinds of other nifty little things. I'm not going to go into all of the abilities that this brings up because I don't frankly know them. The one I care about is context menu, and that does the job for me. But, man, it's pretty cool. All right, I'm going to flip over to questions because one has popped up. Bill Hanneman says, when the full one come out? I don't know what that question means. Do you mean when is Kodi 16.0 coming out? That's a good question. As a general rule, Kodi never ever, and the team Kodi and the XBMC Foundation, we have a very firm rule that we don't ever set a timeline, not a public one anyway. We do have kind of an unofficial internal timeline. And I think we've even kind of discussed this internal timeline a little bit. What we've done is, with Kodi, we've switched to a... Yeah, RD, that's what I'm thinking. He means 16 final. We've switched to something called ReRo, which means we release early and release often. And under this system, what we do is we try to have very short alpha windows and very short beta windows before we go to a final release. So our goal, and this may not happen, our goal is to have only 2 betas and then maybe 2 near final releases. Shoot, I'm forgetting what the word is. Before we go to gold, and then at that point we'll do a release. That's generally the goal, and so that giving a timeline to that is a little tricky because it a little bit depends on how many bugs we find in the beta process. If we find very few, it could come out, it could come out crazy early. It could come out near the beginning of December. If we find a lot, it could come out by the end of January. So it's really hard to give a very good release window for that. But that's sort of generally the idea. We want to have 2 beta releases, then 2 release candidates, and then hopefully go to gold from there. So I guess that's sort of the general idea. If I had to give a guess, and this is me giving a personal guess, this is not Team Kodi at all. I'm guessing it's going to be a Merry Christmas for everybody, but we'll see what happens, All right, so that's long press. Let me flip back over to me and Kodi and the blog post. Android service rendering. This is something I can't show off, but it's something a lot like DirectX 11, where if we do it right, it's going to be something that you're not going to be able to notice. What surface rendering does, actually you will be able to notice, and some of you will complain to us to no end about this, but we'll deal with it. What Android surface rendering does is it separates out. Android has a really neat system where it can paint a surface on top of another surface. And so what we can do is we can push the video out to one Android surface. And for 4K TVs, that means we can push out a full 4K video onto one Android surface, and it will display in perfect 4K, or as perfect as Android can get it. A perfect 4K surface, and then we paint another surface on top of that, which is the Kodi UI, the GUI as we call it, and that does all the various controls and everything. But what's cool is the Kodi GUI is pretty CPU dependent, and that's a big problem for certain Android devices. The Sony TV that's an Android TV, for example, is a great example of this, where the CPU in the Sony Android TV is not great. It's a little bit weak sauce compared to some of the CPUs out there that are doing 4K TV, and a weak CPU running 4K Kodi upscaled is not a good experience because it's very hard on the CPU. So what we do is most Kodi skins are actually drawn in 720p and then up-resed to whatever your skin is. Excuse me, to whatever your screen is. On Android, Kodi doesn't do the up-resing. What it does is it paints a 720p or whatever the native skin image is, so, and that's usually 720p, frankly, because static images look fine at 720p. It paints a 720p image onto the surface, and then it lets the GPU in Android do its thing and paint it onto the 4K surface. Really cool. and great for the CPU, and it makes it way easier to work with, and everything in 4K is rendered in 4K, everything in 1080p is rendered in 1080p, everything in 720p is rendered at that, and it's up-res at the very last second, so you don't lose any quality at all. The only downside is, in Kodi, that means that when you look at, when you look at, let me pop over to settings here, and system info. When you look at screen resolution, as you can see up there, it says it's going to say 1280 by 720 on your Android device. That's supposed to be 4K, and there are going to be people out there who won't understand what that means, and will, yell furiously at us. But let me assure you, what's happening is the skin is showing, the Kodi GUI is showing the skin at its native resolution, and that's what you should be seeing, because everything after that is upscaled at the very last possible second, which means that it looks the best it possibly can with surface rendering. And that's going to be hard to explain. And I think we may ultimately just take that screen resolution thing out of Android entirely, because it doesn't make sense anymore when you try to explain that to some people. Nikki Campos, that's right, it does sound way too low. 720p on my 4K screen? What, are you crazy? Yeah, that's what we're going to get. Anyway, that's a situation. It's going to make your experience on Android dramatically faster and better in basically every possible way, and it'll ultimately look better too. It'll just get a line that makes some people angry, which is there are some audiophiles out there who feel the same way about their AV receiver. They don't actually care if it sounds better. They just need the AV receiver to say DTS HD. You need that light up. So that's how it goes. Dave Bellamo says, I use the Jarvis Nightly every day and love it. I load it every morning. That's right, Dave. One of the best parts about going to this rerow thing that we're doing is that you can use nightlies, and it doesn't break constantly. The worst thing that'll happen to you is maybe, and this happens actually kind of a lot for me, but I don't know if it is for everybody, and it might just be a Windows thing. If you close Kodi, sometimes it takes a while to actually close. It hangs a little bit in Windows, and that's like a weird thing that it's just part of the Kodi nightly lifestyle. I don't think it happens on OS. Well, frankly I don't know. But aside from that weird hanging thing, using nightlies is great these days. Back in the like 2013, if you used a nightly, you were basically saying I'm willing to let Kodi break every 5 minutes. But the switch to rerow and frankly the changes we made over the past few years have made Kodi such a more sturdy platform that changes in the code, feature upgrades, whatever, tend to cause quite a bit less breakage than it used to. And that's with Kodi 17. If you've been paying attention in the forums, there's a new thing called Video Player. We're very excited about that because what we're doing is we're once again breaking out components so things break less. And it's going to break out the video player component entirely from the rest of Kodi and make it so much better. Anyway. Oh, sorry, Nikki. You're saying the sound is low. Let me, Oh, that's gonna... Alright, so I turned it up. Hopefully that makes it better. This is gonna cause all kinds of problems when I go back to editing later, but I'll deal with that when the time comes. Nikki, let me know if that sounds better. Dave Bellamo says, I use shadow builds, force close Kodi, instant shutdown. Oh, you force close Kodi. That works too. Oh, now it's too loud? Okay, hang on. How's that? Kind of a middle ground? Is that good? Man, I'll tell you, doing a live stream, you get all the problems of not doing a live stream. Plus, okay, yes, that's good. Okay, good. Nikki, sorry if you can't hear me. I'm trying my best. Maybe I'll shout a little into my speakers over here. Wait, over there. Okay, so hopefully you've all heard what I've said about Android surface rendering. It's great. Yay, hooray. Removal of lib stagefright. Removal of lib stagefright. This is gonna matter to some people, probably. The way Android works, there are actually two video decoders. There's lib stagefright and there's media codec. And before that, there were even more because Android fragmentation is the worst thing on the planet. But we've ultimately winnowed it down to lib stagefright and media codec. And at this point, we're about to remove lib stagefright altogether because media codec is frankly a better media decoder. Lib stagefright has always been sort of a hack. And for older chipsets, especially certain chipsets that certain hardware set-top box providers provide, you needed lib stagefright to still work. It sucks for those guys that were removing this, and they're going to have to start making their own builds if they want to not upgrade those old chipsets to use media codec, but that's just the situation. At this point, we're leaving open a lot of vulnerabilities, still using lib stagefright, and we're leaving open a lot of, I don't know, it's just harder to maintain so much stuff, and we only have one Android dev in the first place. So it's just going to be easier, frankly, from now on to maintain only one media codec. I think, media codec. I think we still have support for AM Logic's codec, AML codec, but that's about it. And I don't know how long we're going to maintain support for AML codec either. I don't know. It's an unfortunate process. Android's awesome because it's so cheap and it works on ARM and all that stuff, but it's just so fragmented that we've had to do all kinds of things over the past few years just to keep it going. And this is a step we think in the right direction. Some people will probably either have to stick with Kodi 14 or 15 or upgrade their hardware, but let's be honest. These days you can get the Nexus player for like $40 or $50. So if you desperately need an Android TV, it's not that expensive to upgrade. And there are real benefits to upgrading anymore. I mean, especially if you upgrade to something like the Shield, it's ridiculous. It's just crazy how much power you get out of those things. So anyway, that's the end of lib stagefright. Add-on manager changes. we've changed the way Add-on Manager does a couple of things. The rollback button on add-on info has been replaced by update. The update button now opens a list of available versions of the add-on. Let's see what that looks like. I've never actually used this, so it'll be interesting for me as well. My add-ons, let's see, video add-ons. I think I've had all these installed for a while. Let's see. So we click update. Oh, sure enough, there are all the various versions. Here's the one. There are ones in the repo. Here's a local one. I evidently haven't had this installed for very long because I only have one older local one. It's pretty cool though. What about Rooster Teeth? I think that would probably be the same, right? Yeah, I have quite a lot of older ones there. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the rollback possibility, what you can do with rollback altogether, but it's really pretty cool. If the version of an add-on that you're using has busted and the older version worked, then you can always go back to that older version. And we leave all the ones that you've already pre-installed. And you can actually go into your cache, if you know how, and copy those versions and put them in some safe place and transfer them all over the place if you want to. I don't necessarily recommend that you do that because usually the latest version is the one that works for a reason and has been updated for a reason. And especially you guys who are using piracy add-ons, I don't want to give you a lot of advice on those, but odds are the reason people have updated a piracy add-on is because the piracy repo sucks and has broken in some way, because it breaks all the time. It's that breakage is the reason I never ever recommend using the stupid add-ons in the first place. It's not even a piracy concern. You can pirate all you want, I don't care, but it's not going to be a good experience for you because it breaks all the time. I don't know, sorry, went off on a rant there. But that's cool. Add-on manager updates is always a nice thing. Oh, that's right. And you can selectively auto-update. You can selectively roll back. You can do all kinds of very specific things with each add-on, which is pretty neat. Oh, I should actually show that too. We saw that on the page. Yeah. So you can click this here and it'll turn off auto-update, but just for this Rooster Teeth add-on, or just for HD Home Run or YouTube or any of your other add-ons. So very, very handy thing. If you think that your add-on is as good as it's going to get, and especially if it's an add-on that doesn't depend on outside streaming, then, I mean, there's no necessarily any good reason to update it. If you don't want any of the new features, then that's fine. Don't update it. It works great. Let's see. We've gotten rid of karaoke. This should offend hopefully nobody. I'm not aware of anybody that used karaoke. We don't get questions about it anymore. It was just always been something that we supported, and now we don't. So, goodbye to karaoke. This is probably for the best because there are add-ons out there that are dramatically better than our internal support ever was. Some of the add-ons may be, it's hard to say, they may be immoral to use because they're add-ons that go to YouTube and put together a list of all the YouTube karaoke music lists all out there, and that's I don't know if that's okay or not, frankly. But those are pretty good add-ons. So if you want to, I mean, in terms of use, those are pretty good add-ons. So if you want to go that way, go that way. Other important changes. I'm not gonna go all through these. I may pick out some that look interesting to me. Audio signal processing handling. This is going to be a big deal. I think Ned and I have already talked about this. We talked about it after DevCon, I'm sure. At some point in the near future, Cody is going to essentially have the software to replace your hardware AV receiver, at least in terms of audio processing, and that's pretty cool. We're pretty excited about it. When we got a demo of it at DevCon, I think it easily blew away every other demo that we saw there. It was just astonishing what you can do. It gives you the ability to do all kinds of crazy things like control the audio of each individual channel. I don't know. I'm not going to go into too much depth on this, but it's amazing what you can do. So that'll be exciting once add-ons start coming out for that. The music library has been improved a little bit. I never used music library, so I can't really talk about that. Win32, proper 24 and 1600 refresh rate in fake full screen mode. Hooray. Properly handle wired or Bluetooth headsets on Android and only use PCM output. That's handy for if you're using something, once again, like the Shield remote control, which has a little speaker on the or a little headphone jack. If you plug that in, the audio actually comes out through 82p. The audio Bluetooth, the Bluetooth streaming service for speakers. So very cool stuff. I assume, I don't know. I assume it also works pretty well for the controller that uses Wi-Fi audio, but I don't know. Let's see. Add a none option for preferred subtitles. I don't know why that's handy. Series recording added for PVR. If you paid attention to last week's stream, I went off on how useful series recording is. So now it's in your regular PVR for Cody, which is great. We've added support for Korean, Chinese, and Czech keyboards. Awesome. Improved touchscreen key mapping. And I'll probably show that sometime in the near future. Stereoscopic depth for confluence skins. I can't show. Oops, sorry. There we go. I'll scroll that up. I can't show this off, and I don't know how to fix that. It's kind of like, it's a little bit like trying to explain the Oculus Rift to people who haven't used it. We mentioned this in the past. We have 3D support in Cody, which means if you have a half side-by-side 3D Blu-ray rip, and if you don't, you should get one because they're cool. But if you have one of those, then you can set Cody up to show that half Blu-ray rip correctly, and it'll send the image to the TV, and Cody's UI will split into two and will render in a way that makes it so the rendering doesn't look horrible while you're watching the video. If you've ever tried to watch a 3D video using VLC, you'll know what I'm talking about. It looks like if you close one eye, you see one half of the UI, and if you close the other, you see the other half of the UI. We fixed it so Cody doesn't have any of those problems. But one of the things that we left out was that when you do this, the UI has the opportunity now to show depth. And we've never had that feature in the past. It's just been the UI, it looks like a 2D UI painted on top of the image. Now, with stereoscopic depth, you can actually see depth in the UI, and it looks really cool. You know, when the little... Here, let me flip over. When you pull out this drawer, for example, you see right now it looks like it's on top of the rest of the image. But only in a kind of 2D fakey way. With stereoscopic depth, it actually looks like it's coming out of the screen a little bit, and everything else is deeper into the screen. Very, very nifty. I highly recommend, if you have the opportunity, to check out the stereoscopic UI with your home TV, just because it looks really cool. We do have the ability to show an anal graph, which means the blue-green or blue-red glasses, whatever they are. So it basically allows you to fake 3D. And that works with this too. So if you don't have a 3D and you happen to have some of those glasses lying around, you should totally turn it on and put those glasses on because it still looks really cool. We tested this out at DevCon, and it looked great. Let's see, what else do we have? 3-finger touchpad mapping in iOS. I believe Ned and I have already talked about that. Definitely check it out. It looks great. And I think that's kind of it. I mean, that's kind of it. And that was a huge list of things. And the funny thing is, it's going to be... Oh, yeah, and here are all of the skins right now. Let me flip it over to just... Here we go. Here are all the skins right now that are currently supported in Cody. Cody 16. There are going to be more. People are doing a pretty good job of keeping things updated these days, and as an added benefit, we're doing our very best to get rid of as many windows as we possibly can, so that skinners don't need to skin as much in between updates. Which in theory should mean that it's way easier to update your skin with each new release as we go along in the future. So that should be good. If it's not, then sorry, skinners, we tried our best. And I think that's about it, guys. The last thing to talk about, I guess, is we only have 5 days left for this community-designed Cody shirt that was made by Sam Fisher. I'm not going to go into like a song and dance about how great the shirt is. It's pretty cool. I personally think the hoodie's cooler, and evidently so does everybody else, because it's sold way more than anything else. But, you know, it is what it is. I think they're great. You guys should totally buy one, and, you know, then buy several thousand more. We've sold 236. We'd love to sell more. There are 5 days left. Blah, blah, blah. Nothing exciting there. But I think that's it, guys. It's we're at about 40 minutes, a little longer than I wanted to go. But I think we've covered a lot of the things here. If you guys have any more questions, oh, Bill has one. How about being able to upgrade Cody inside of Cody, just like you do with the add-ons? Bill, I'm glad you asked that question. And John Robertson, I'm glad to hear that you bought already. Don't know what that means, but I appreciate it. Oh, a T-shirt. Oh, good. Yeah, awesome, dude. I'm gonna give you a little clap. Upgrading Cody within Cody is not possible at the moment unless you're running OpenELEC, and you should totally run an OpenELEC. That's frankly the answer there. If you've ever used Cody with a Raspberry Pi, you know that upgrading within Cody is definitely possible and is awesome. There are talks about making it possible to upgrade under other OSs that way, but I don't think there's any talk about doing it from within Cody. I don't know. There's a couple ways we can do this. On Android, yes, agreed. John Robertson, OpenELEC does rule. On Android, Cody just auto-updates because we're on the Google Play Store, and the Google Play has auto-update set to default, so you don't need to do anything from the UI. You just need to wait a little while, and it'll upgrade itself. Let's see. On Windows and OS X, OS 10, Max, whatever you want to call it, there is a PR actually available right now that hasn't seen a lot of updates lately, but it uses something called Sparkle to perform an auto update. But that Sparkle happens from the Windows or the Mac UI. It doesn't happen within Cody. I have talked with Martine, who wrote the OSMC. I've heard OSMC is also great. I haven't used it very much, honestly. The team tends to use OpenELEC just because a lot of team members are members of OpenELEC too, so we're more familiar with it. OSMC I've heard good things about, especially because it's based on Debian, and so actually can use Debian packages, and OpenELEC can't. But I can't give any more answer than that. I hear it's good. I don't have any other information. Shoot, I think OSMC also does auto updating, if that was the question, within the skin, or within the UI. But I was talking with Martine, and there's one other way in theory in which we could update. If you guys are familiar with this thing, if you launch Cody and you're using an old version, you'll get a little notification saying you have an old version of Cody. Evidently, there is a way where we could set up that notification to ask you if you want to download Cody and then close Cody and launch the updater, or the installer, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know how easy it would be to actually write that kind of a script, but that theoretically is another way we could do it. Any of you out there who are very good at scripting, you know, feel free to submit a PR that does exactly that, because that would be pretty cool. Bill Hanneman, what about, oh, you have it on your Raspberry Pi. So why don't you tell us about OSMC? If you think it's good or better than OpenELEC, feel free to say so in the comments right below. I kind of lost track of where I was going there. I don't know. Anyway, updating that way is it's not scheduled to be in Kodi 16 at all, other than obviously where it already exists in Android and on OpenELEC and probably OSMC and those areas, and obviously on Linux where Debian Packages does it all for you. And I think that's it, though, guys. I think we're running pretty long. It's 45 minutes now. We've gone over the major topics of Kodi 16, and I don't know. I'm pretty excited about this release. Without going into too much depth about it, I'm actually way more excited about the Kodi 17 release coming out, because I think it's just gonna be a whole new Kodi. Frankly, a lot of changes are coming. But this Kodi 16 release is a little bit like the calm before the storm. Lots of useful, super handy little features and fixes and cleanups before what's going to be just crazy as we go along. So definitely, if you can, install the new beta, because it's frankly, it may as well be a release now, because it's as sturdy now as it always has been. John Robertson, no, I only do one piracy add-on rant per show. Sorry. If I do two, it's because someone egged me on. Sorry. And I guess that's it. So thanks for watching, guys. Next week, I got frankly no idea what we'll talk about. We might look at Kodi. We might look at Retro Player again, because I feel like lots been going on that I missed out on. The problem you have last time with no videos or no way to scan is happening to me with update from 15 to 16. Noel, this is... yes, Cody Jarvis has support for Cinemagraph art. Yes, that's absolutely true. Media Brazil Forum. And that's a good point. So if you guys have Cinemagraph, do a search for Cinemagraph art and Kodi, and you'll see some really cool videos of that in action. Bill Hanneman, see you later. Everybody else, thanks for watching. Noel, it's possible the reason your scanning problems happen was because our add-on for the movies database was broken for a little bit because they did an update of their API. You might just check again. It should be working now. And everybody else, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. Hopefully Ned will be here. He's having technical difficulties, so he wasn't able to join us. But see you all next week. All right.